Flight attendant rejects black woman's upgraded seat. What happens next leaves her in shock. How far would you go to stand up for your dignity when the odds seem stacked against you? This is the story of Amanda Taylor, a poised and accomplished professional who faced an unexpected and blatant act of discrimination at an airport. With a first-class ticket in hand, she was denied the seat she rightfully paid for, not because of a system error, but due to something far deeper and more troubling. What began as a humiliating encounter quickly transformed into a powerful stand for justice, one that left everyone involved stunned and inspired. If you love real-life stories of resilience, courage, and the fight for fairness, make sure to like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to our channel for more impactful narratives. Your support helps us continue to share these important stories with the world. Let's dive into this incredible tale of strength and determination. The airport was alive with activity. Families huddled near their gates, exchanging goodbyes and snapping last-minute photos. Business people hurried through the terminals, their tailored suits and leather briefcases reflecting their urgency. The occasional sound of a child's laughter mixed with the steady hum of announcements over the loudspeakers. It was a typical day at the airport, bustling and full of energy. Amid this lively chaos stood Amanda Taylor, a picture of poise and professionalism. She wore a flowing silk blouse paired with tailored slacks, and her caramel-toned skin gleamed under the soft terminal lighting. Her braided hair, neatly tied back, framed her serene expression as she adjusted the strap of her leather handbag. Amanda exuded quiet confidence, her warm smile revealing a mix of excitement and anticipation for the journey ahead. She was en route to Denver for a prestigious conference where she would deliver a keynote speech, an achievement she had worked tirelessly to earn. As Amanda approached the first-class counter, she expected nothing but a smooth check-in. However, the gate agent's demeanor suggested otherwise. The woman behind the desk, blonde with sharp features, barely glanced up. Her eyes narrowed slightly as they scanned Amanda's face before drifting to the boarding pass Amanda offered with a polite smile. "Good afternoon. I have an upgrade to first class on Flight 212 to Denver," Amanda said warmly, her tone firm but courteous. The agent's lips tightened into a faint smirk as she took the ticket and swiped it through the scanner. A beep confirmed that everything was in order, yet her expression didn't change. She muttered, her fingers tapping at the keyboard with exaggerated slowness. "Ha!" Amanda felt a twinge of unease as the seconds stretched on. The agent's dismissive attitude was impossible to ignore. Finally, the woman leaned forward, her voice dropping to an icy whisper. "It seems there's an issue with your upgrade. The seat isn't available anymore." Amanda's calm exterior didn't waver. "That's strange," she said, pulling out a neatly folded receipt from her bag. "I confirmed this upgrade yesterday. Here's my proof." The agent didn't bother looking at the receipt. Instead, she crossed her arms, her smirk deepening. "Look, I don't know how you got this ticket, but first class is full. You'll need to head back to economy." The words hung in the air like a challenge, drawing curious glances from nearby passengers. Amanda's stomach tightened, but she stood firm. Little did she know, this encounter would test her resolve like never before. Amanda Taylor stood her ground at the first-class counter, her polite but confident demeanor unwavering. She extended her first-class boarding pass once more, her voice calm and clear. "I believe there's been a misunderstanding. I have a confirmed upgrade to first class on this flight." The gate agent, her lips pursed in a faint smirk, gave a long, exaggerated sigh. "As I said, first class is full," she repeated, her tone dripping with condescension. Without even glancing at Amanda's receipt, she added dismissively, "You'll need to take your assigned seat in economy." Amanda, refusing to be deterred, carefully unfolded the printed receipt from her bag and placed it on the counter. "Here is the proof of my purchase and confirmation," she said, her voice firm but measured. The agent's eyes flicked to the paper for a fleeting moment before she leaned back, crossing her arms. "Look," the agent said, her tone now icy, "I don't know how you got this upgrade, but it's not valid. Do you want me to call security?" Sarah. Nearby passengers began to notice the tension, their murmurs growing louder as curious glances darted between Amanda and the agent. Amanda felt the heat of their stares but refused to let it unsettle her. Years of navigating challenging spaces had taught her the value of composure. "Please do," Amanda replied, her tone steady. "Or better yet, call a supervisor. I'd like to have this resolved professionally." The agent's smirk faltered slightly as she motioned for her supervisor. A tall man with a balding head and clipboard arrived moments later, his expression one of thinly veiled impatience. The agent gestured toward Amanda. "She's insisting on a first-class seat that's no longer available," Amanda mused. Amanda turned to the supervisor and explained the situation calmly, presenting her documentation. The man glanced at the boarding pass, then at Amanda, his expression hardening. "This upgrade isn't valid anymore," he said curtly. "I suggest you take your seat in economy." Amanda's grip on the counter tightened, but her tone remained measured. "I have a confirmed receipt, and I believe this situation is turning discriminatory. Please escalate this matter to someone higher up." The supervisor's face twisted into a sneer. "Let me make this clear," he said, his voice loud enough to draw more attention. "You're not sitting in first class. End of discussion." Amanda's resolve only strengthened in the face of their blatant disregard. She retrieved her phone and dialed a familiar number. "If you're unwilling to handle this professionally, I'll have to make a call," she said evenly. The supervisor chuckled dryly. "Go ahead. Call whoever you want." Amanda stepped aside, her voice calm but commanding as she spoke into her phone. The murmurs among the onlookers grew louder, their curiosity now fully piqued. When Amanda hung up, she turned back to the counter. Her posture exuded quiet confidence as she stated, "Help is on the way." The smirk on the gate agent's face disappeared, replaced by a flicker of unease. The supervisor fidgeted with his clipboard, his bravado wavering. Amanda stood tall, her calm demeanor unshaken. She wasn't about to back down. Amanda Taylor, unshaken by the hostility of the gate agent and supervisor, stepped aside from the counter. With her phone in hand, she dialed a familiar number. Her voice was calm but resolute as she explained the situation. Nearby passengers watched with growing curiosity, their hushed whispers forming a background hum. Amanda's composed demeanor stood in stark contrast to the nervous energy emanating from the airline staff. Returning to her place at the counter, Amanda informed the gate agent, "Help is on the way." Her words, delivered with quiet confidence, seemed to unsettle the agent, who shifted uncomfortably in her seat. The smirk that had lingered on her face moments before was gone, replaced by a flicker of uncertainty. The supervisor, clutching his clipboard tightly, avoided meeting Amanda's gaze, beads of sweat forming at his temples. The tension in the air was palpable. Passengers in the vicinity, sensing the gravity of the situation, craned their necks to observe. Some whispered amongst themselves, speculating about what would happen next. Amanda, however, stood rooted in place, her posture a picture of unyielding strength. Years of experience navigating spaces where she wasn't always welcomed had prepared her for moments like this. Minutes later, the sound of confident, measured footsteps cut through the murmur of the terminal. Heads turned as a woman in a tailored navy suit approached the counter. Her aura of authority was undeniable, and her presence immediately commanded respect. This was Elizabeth Davis, a high-ranking official whose reputation for professionalism and fairness preceded her. The gate agent's eyes widened slightly, and she quickly stood, attempting to regain her composure. "Miss Davis," she began, her voice faltering slightly, "this passenger has been causing a disturbance." Then finally her voice returned to normal, and she got to work. Elizabeth raised a hand, silencing the agent mid-sentence. Her sharp gaze swept over the scene, landing on Amanda. She extended a hand, her tone clipped but professional. "Amanda, I'm Elizabeth Davis. I was briefed on the situation." Amanda shook her hand, her voice steady. "Thank you for coming, Ms. Davis. I appreciate your support." Elizabeth turned to the gate agent and supervisor, her expression hardening. "Let's start with the facts," she said. "What exactly is the issue here?" The gate agent hesitated, her confidence visibly shaken. "She claims to have a first-class upgrade, but the system doesn't show it. We've explained this to her," the agent said, her words defensive. Elizabeth didn't flinch. "And you verified her receipt and documentation?" The gate agent faltered. "Well, no, but..." Enough, Elizabeth interrupted. Her calm yet commanding tone cut through the tension like a blade. She turned to Amanda. May I see your documentation? Elizabeth examined them briefly before nodding. This is all in order. Miss Taylor's upgrade is valid. The gate agent's face flushed, and the supervisor shifted uncomfortably. We didn't realize, he began, but Elizabeth cut him off with a sharp look. I didn't realize, he replied. What you realized or didn't realize is irrelevant, she said, her voice firm. What matters is how you handled this situation, with a lack of professionalism and, frankly, blatant bias. The surrounding passengers watched in stunned silence as the power dynamic shifted. Elizabeth's presence had dismantled the gate staff's smug demeanor, leaving them visibly unsettled. Amanda remained poised, her quiet strength amplifying the weight of Elizabeth's words. The murmurs among the crowd grew louder, their whispers now filled with admiration for Amanda's composure and Elizabeth's decisive actions. Mrs. Taylor, Elizabeth said, turning back to Amanda, you will of course be seated in first class. Furthermore, I'll ensure this incident is reported and reviewed at the highest level. Amanda inclined her head, her gratitude evident but understated. Thank you, Miss Davis. This is about more than just a seat. It's about how people are treated. Elizabeth nodded, her expression resolute. I couldn't agree more. What happened next left everyone stunned. The gate agent and supervisor, clearly chastened, apologized to Amanda under Elizabeth's watchful eye. But Amanda's journey was far from over. This was just the beginning of a powerful message about justice, dignity, and the fight for equality. Elizabeth Davis stood firmly at the counter, her eyes narrowing at the gate agent and supervisor. Her authoritative presence silenced any lingering whispers from the nearby passengers, who now watched intently. Let's be very clear, Elizabeth began, her voice calm but sharp. This situation has gone far beyond a simple seating error. It's now a matter of professionalism, or the lack thereof, and accountability. The gate agent, visibly flustered, stammered, We didn't mean to. You didn't mean to… What? Elizabeth interrupted, her voice rising slightly. Dismiss a paying passenger? Disregard her confirmed documentation? Or perhaps you didn't mean to treat her differently because of assumptions you made about her. The agent's face turned red and she shifted uncomfortably. The supervisor, who had initially displayed smug confidence, now looked pale and fidgeted with his clipboard. Miss Davis, he began, but she cut him off with a sharp gesture. Spare me the excuses, Elizabeth said coldly. This behavior is unacceptable, and it reflects poorly not just on you but on this airline. You both owe Ms. Taylor an immediate and sincere apology. Furthermore, this incident will be reported and reviewed at the corporate level. Turning to Amanda, Elizabeth's tone softened. Mrs. Taylor, your first-class seat is confirmed, and I assure you that steps will be taken to prevent this from happening to anyone else. Amanda inclined her head, her voice steady but tinged with gratitude. Thank you, Ms. Davis. I appreciate your efforts. But this is about more than just a seat. It's about ensuring that everyone is treated with dignity and respect. Elizabeth nodded, understanding the deeper significance of Amanda's words. You're absolutely right, and I promise this won't be swept under the rug. As the tension at the gate began to dissipate, Amanda was finally escorted to her first-class seat. The flight attendants were overly attentive, their smiles nervous and their movements overly precise, as though trying to compensate for the earlier mistreatment. Amanda accepted their efforts graciously, but couldn't shake the bitter aftertaste of the experience. Sitting in the plush comfort of her seat, Amanda allowed herself a moment to reflect. The soft hum of the plane's engines provided a backdrop to her thoughts. While she had won this battle, the emotional weight of the encounter lingered. She thought about how she had been judged before she even spoke a word, her professionalism and preparation dismissed in an instant. This wasn't just about a ticket, it was about the countless ways people like her were forced to fight for spaces they had rightfully earned. Amanda glanced out the window as the plane climbed into the evening sky. Below her, the city lights twinkled like stars, a reminder of the world she lived in, a world where battles like this were all too common. Yet, instead of letting the experience embitter her, Amanda resolved to use it as fuel for change. She pulled out a notebook from her bag, the smooth leather cool against her fingers. Opening to a fresh page, she began to write, her pen moving steadily. Change doesn't come from comfort. It comes from confrontation, from forcing people to see what they'd rather ignore. She paused, the weight of her own words sinking in. This incident wasn't just about her. It was a reflection of a broader problem, one that required collective action to address. By the time the plane began its descent, Amanda had filled several pages with thoughts, ideas, and plans. This experience, while painful, had ignited a spark within her. She wasn't just a passenger standing up for her dignity, she was now part of a larger fight for justice and equality. As the flight attendants prepared the cabin for landing, Amanda tucked her notebook back into her bag. The determination in her heart was steady, unyielding. When the plane touched down, Amanda's journey wasn't over, it was just beginning. She would carry this moment into the conference she was attending, weaving it into her speech about resilience and justice. Her voice, once silenced at the gate, would now be amplified, reaching an audience ready to listen. As Amanda stepped off the plane and into the bustling terminal, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. The road ahead would be challenging, but she was ready to face it. Her story didn't end here. It was only the start of something greater, a movement for change, fueled by the unshakable resolve of one woman who refused to back down. Standing behind the polished wooden podium, Amanda Taylor gazed out at the audience gathered in the grand conference hall. The warm spotlight illuminated her calm, poised expression. She had rehearsed her speech countless times, but after the events at the airport, her words carried a weight that could not be scripted. Change doesn't come from comfort, Amanda began, her voice steady but charged with emotion. It comes from confrontation, forcing people to see what they'd rather ignore. The room fell silent, her words cutting through the space like a blade. Amanda recounted her experience at the airport, carefully framing it within the broader context of systemic issues. She spoke of the subtle yet insidious ways people are dismissed, underestimated, and made to feel as though they don't belong. It wasn't just about a seat on a plane, Amanda continued. It was about dignity. It was about the assumptions made about me before I even opened my mouth. This isn't just my story, it's the story of countless others who face barriers simply for being who they are. Her words resonated deeply. Amanda noticed a man sitting near the front, his arms crossed but his expression softening as she spoke. When she paused, he raised his hand to speak during the Q&A session. "I want to thank you for sharing this," he said, his voice heavy with emotion. "My daughter, she's already faced so much. Hearing you speak about belonging, about standing up for yourself, it gives me hope for her." Amanda met his gaze, her own eyes glistening with emotion. "Thank you for sharing that," she said sincerely. "Your daughter's strength and your support are part of the change we need to see." As the session continued, another young woman, likely in her early 20s, approached the microphone with hesitant steps. Her curly hair was tied back in a messy bun, and her voice trembled as she spoke. Amanda's heart swelled with pride and empathy. She leaned forward slightly, her tone warm and encouraging. "You have that courage within you. I'm just glad my story could remind you of your strength. Never let anyone make you feel less than you are." The audience erupted into applause, their admiration for Amanda palpable. She could feel the collective energy in the room, a shared determination to address the systemic challenges she had highlighted. "Today isn't just about my experience," Amanda said as the applause died down. "It's about all of us recognizing our power to create change, not just for ourselves, but for each other. Silence protects the status quo, but speaking up, even when it's uncomfortable, can spark transformation." Her message was clear. Resilience is essential, but systemic change requires collective action. Amanda concluded her speech with a promise. "I won't stop fighting for a world where dignity and respect are the norm, not the exception. And I hope you won't either." The audience rose to their feet, the standing ovation a testament to the impact of Amanda's words. After the session ended, attendees approached her, sharing their own stories of resilience and gratitude. Every conversation was a reminder that her fight was not in vain. Amanda left the stage knowing her story had touched hearts and ignited minds. Her journey had begun at an airport counter, but her message now reached far beyond it. Monica's story resonated far beyond that airport. It became a symbol of courage, resilience, and the unyielding fight for justice. A reminder to all that change is possible when we dare to stand up and speak out. Amanda Taylor's story is one of courage, dignity, and the unyielding pursuit of justice. Her experience at the airport wasn't just an isolated moment. It was a reflection of a broader reality faced by many. Yet, instead of letting the discrimination she encountered silence her, Amanda stood her ground. She turned an act of injustice into an opportunity for change, showing us all the power of resilience. Standing up for justice, especially in the face of adversity, is never easy. It requires strength, patience, and an unwavering belief in one's own worth. Amanda's poise in a moment of confrontation sent ripples far beyond that airport. Her actions not only secured the respect she deserved, but also inspired those around her, onlookers, fellow passengers, and ultimately the audience at her conference. This story reminds us of the ripple effect of one person's courage. By standing up for herself, Amanda gave others the confidence to do the same. Her words encouraged a young woman to find her voice and a father to believe in a better future for his daughter. These ripples, born of Amanda's bravery, are proof that our actions have the power to inspire and create change in ways we may never fully see. Now it's your turn to reflect. Think about the spaces in your life where you can make a difference. How can you stand up for justice, even in small ways? What role can you play in creating a world where dignity and respect are given to everyone, regardless of who they are? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Share your experiences or reflections in the comments below. And if Amanda's story resonated with you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with others. Together we can spread the message of resilience and inspire more people to take a stand when it matters most. Change begins with each of us. Amanda's story is a powerful reminder that no act of courage is too small and no voice is too quiet to make an impact. Let's continue to speak up, stand firm, and build a future where justice and equality are not just ideals, but realities. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.